and I call the member for Dawson.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Well, I rise today to speak about the disastrous Albanese Labor Government's budget. This is bad for Australians, it's bad for rural and regional Australians, and it's particularly bad for my people in my electorate of Dawson. Now, just before the budget came out, there was an announcement that it was going to be a budget for the Bruce. So for those who don't know, the Bruce Highway basically connects Brisbane to Cairns in Queensland. It's how all the farmers up north get their produce down the market. It's how people get their supplies up from the city, and it's how families get around and keep themselves safe. It's also how the tourists, the grey nomads, travel up and down the coast, particularly in the wintertime. And right in the middle of that is Dawson, my electorate. So from Mackay up to Townsville, right in the middle of the Bruce Highway section there, is where my people live. Now, there's been 2 reports just put out recently. One of them had to be required under the Freedom of Information, and it's a star rating. It's up to a 5-star rating. That particular section in my electorate of Dawson only equates to a 2. It needs a lot of work. There's another report that shows it's one of the most dangerous sections of all the Bruce Highway. So you would think, where would the money go? Where would you prioritise? Well, do you know how much the electorate of Dawson got for my Bruce Highway, for my section of the Bruce Highway, for my people's section of the Bruce Highway? A donut. Absolutely nothing. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So let's explore where the money did go. The money went to a bloated bureaucracy to increase more bureaucrats in Canberra. 36,000 more bureaucrats in Canberra at a cost over $24 billion over the forwards. Now, a little bit for those opposite how the real world works. How the real world works, if you've got a project, say you want to fill a pothole, and in my electorate of Dawson, the Bruce Highway, there's no shortage of potholes that need filling. What you need to do is you have your boss, your middle management, your foreman, and then the labourer actually fills the pothole. But after a couple of days when the pothole's not getting filled, what's Labor's answer to that? I know, we need more bureaucracy. We need to add another layer to the 4 lines. So then we've got the boss. We'll have senior management, middle management, the foreman, and then the labourer. But what happens? Everything just goes round and round and round in circles, and nothing actually happens. It gets all chewed up in the internal bureaucracy. But what do they do? What do they do? What will the Nationals do? What do they do in private enterprise? This will be good for the members of Bruce. No, this is exactly what they do. They actually cut one of the layers out. So then the boss tells the foreman, tells the labourer, mate, you need to fill that pothole. And that's how you get things done. You don't get things done by sending internal emails going round and round and round in circles. But don't worry, I understand what you do. I understand what those opposite do. You flatten everyone's tyres. You flatten every Australian's tyres, and then you say, oh, I know what we'll do. We'll give you a little bit of air for them and you will be grateful. That's exactly what you've done with the electricity prices. Say your tyre's 35 psi. Then let the tyres down one day, then you turn up the next day with a little compressor and give them, 5 or 10 psi. Oh, that'll be enough to get them by. And that's exactly what they've done with the electricity prices. Most of the people in my area, their electricity has gone up over $1,000 a year. $1,000 a year. And what have you done? You've given them $300 and expect them to be grateful. How fantastic is that? Absolutely amazing. But the disaster budget, don't just take my word for it. Ross Gittins, Sydney Morning Herald. This does not fill me with confidence in the Albanese government's capacity. Quite the reverse. And from Cheryl Murphy, from Anderson Young, this budget discards physical discipline, structural repair, policy reform, and does little to drive productivity growth. It's a bad budget. It's bad for Australians. It needs to be rethought.
Authorised by Andrew Willcox, LMP Mackay.